Hello again, this is Doug, the 2-Minute Gardener. Today we're going to talk about how to pick the perfect rose for your garden. I tell you, it's January, we've packed up all the holiday stuff, and now it's time to start thinking about that spring garden. And people go, well, I'd like to get some roses for my garden, but I'm not sure where to start. Well, January is bare root rose season. The roses are dormant, they're easily moved, and it's kind of nice to take them around. But when you're looking at these roses, you're kind of thinking, I don't know what kind of rose I want. So I'm going to talk about 5 different categories of roses. So the first one is roses that produce a lot of blooms. Now, the way to get a lot of blooms is with floribundas, a type of rose that throws up a lot of flowers on a single stem. So here are some of my favorite floribunda roses. And these will produce a lot of blooms on each one of these stems. Some are fragrant, some aren't, but it's just basically you're trying to get a lot of really fun color in the garden. And as always, there's a list of every single one of these roses in the video description, along with some links on where to buy some of these roses. Not every single one of these roses are available via Amazon, but they're still all wonderful roses. And I do list every single rose in this video. There's actually almost 40 roses that you will see in this video. So these are all the floribundas that I think are really great, tough roses, nice and easy to grow, but just give a lot of really great flowers to them. Oh, Sexy Rexy, one of the best there is. I love my Sexy Rexy. I actually won a trophy at the National Rose Show with my Sexy Rexy. Just a great rose. All right, so now let's move on to your classic single stem Beauty and the Beast. Give me a big old one. Big rose. So these are your hybrid teas or grandifloras. They're going to give you that classic single stem rose, really wonderful, not necessarily fragrant. We are going to talk about fragrance and roses in just a minute, but here are those hybrid teas. Now, of course, as soon as I say that, the very first one up is Barbra Streisand, which is a very fragrant hybrid tea rose. Really wonderful rose. But these are your classic hybrid tea roses. Firefighter, kind of fragrant, really, just a great red rose. Cajun Sunrise, oh, this is my Cajun Sunrise, and I love that beautiful color. There's some really great colors, but again, if you want that single stem, wonderful one rose in a vase, you want a hybrid tea or grandiflora, and see, any of these are some of the really great ones out there as well. Mr. Lincoln is your classic big red rose. Neil Diamond's a really nice one, pretty disease resistant as well. Kind of a really fun rose. And of course, Gold Medal, really interesting shades of yellow with a little bit of gold and orange, and your classic big white rose. Pope John Paul, also a very disease resistant rose. All right, well, now let's talk about easy to grow roses. What if you've never grown roses and you want to get started with something that's kind of easy to grow? I always recommend to folks, consider somebody that is tagged All-American Rose Selection. These are roses that have been selected for their vigor, their color, and their disease resistance. They're really high quality roses that are really, really wonderful. But you're not necessarily all of the roses you're going to see here are those kind of high quality roses. Some of the really nice ones on this list are a really kind of fun roses, like that Sexy Rexy I mentioned earlier, Tuscan Sun, and of course Iceberg. Now Iceberg is probably the easiest to grow of all the roses ever created, ever. Really tough, but I love the White Iceberg and the Burgundy Iceberg as well. These are really easy to grow roses. All right, so now moving on, our next category of roses, fragrant roses. Give me something with some fragrance that I can put in a really wonderful bouquet in the house. So here we go. This one's called Earth Angel Parfum. Really fun one. Of course, Double Delight is a great hybrid tea, nice and fragrant rose. Love that. White Licorice. This is my White Licorice. I love that rose. Sheila's Perfume. I love Sheila's Perfume. Really great fragrance. Sunsprite's a little floribunda with a big fragrance. And of course, Mr. Lincoln again. Great fragrance on your classic big red rose. And this one's called Honey Bouquet. Oh yeah, it's pretty honeyful. So one more category of roses I just want to touch on. Other types of roses. So these are climbing roses. And these are really wonderful if you want to put some roses over an arbor, up against a fence, even up against a wall. You can actually attach it to the wall as long as you get those canes growing horizontally to give you flowers up and down the wall. So of all the climbing roses, my two favorite are 4th of July which is an all-American rose selection, which also tells you it's a vigorous rose, good disease resistant, really wonderful colors. It just kind of explodes. Every single flower is different. It's why I love 4th of July. It's really wonderful. Another one is Dublin Bay. Big old fun red rose. And again, you want to use these climbing roses to cover fences, cover arbors, places where you might not necessarily want a single classic rose, or even cover the side of a house. This one's climbing Cecil Bruner. And by the way, this one is only about 7 years old. It only took 7 years to cover the side of the house with all these incredible pink blossoms. So again, when you grow roses, you want to make sure you have well-draining soil, at least 6 hours of daylight, and make sure to feed those roses. You have to feed your roses every month to get them to really bloom like crazy. You don't need to feed them in the winter, but you definitely want to start feeding them in March or so. Well, that's all the time we have for today. I hope you have enjoyed this video. Hit that like button if you really got some value out of this, and make sure to subscribe to get more of my garden videos. Until next time, this is Doug, the 2-Minute Gardener, saying thanks for watching.